Okay, today we're looking at areas of parallelograms and triangles. We're going into areas of our 2D shapes. So we found areas of rectangles and squares, and just remember that a parallelogram is like rectangles and squares are also parallelograms. So whatever the area of a parallelogram is, it's also the area of a rectangle and square. So if we know this area, we really know those areas. We're going to find perimeter and areas of parallelograms and triangles. So base and height of a parallelogram. The base is always a side of our shape. So this could be a base, this could be a base, and so forth. But the height is the perpendicular line straight up and down to the other base, to the opposite side. So here, this would be my height, but your height can also be inside. So the height doesn't have to be a side length of that. Same thing with triangles, base and height, and base doesn't have to be on the bottom. So if I have this, here, sorry, where this is this could be, if I see a height length here where this is 90 degrees, then this would be my height, but this side length would be my base, not the full side length. All right, so area of a parallelogram is base times height, and the height is that perpendicular line to the opposite side. Can be either anywhere. We're going to have to use some of our tools that we have in our toolbox for solving for missing sides and so forth. So here we want to find the perimeter. So perimeter is all the length of all the sides added together. So 32. We know opposite sides are equal on a parallelogram, and 32. So my perimeter is 32 plus 20 plus 20 plus 32. 104 inches, and it's a length. So that isn't squared. My area, though, I don't have my height, so I need to find my height. And they give us nicely this 12 here, and we see that that's just a right triangle. If that's 90, this is 90. So I can use Pythagorean theorem to find my height. So 12 squared plus height squared should equal 20 squared, or equals 20 squared. So 144 plus height squared equals 400. Subtract 144. Height squared equals 256. And square root both sides, height equals 16. So my area is base. So we're going to use this as my base because my height is perpendicular to that. So 32 times my height of 16. 512 inches squared, because area is how much it takes to cover it. So here we see same type of problem, don't have height again, and we're not finding perimeter, just looking for area. We're going to use trigonometry to do this, but you can also use your special right triangle features to do that if you remember those. But I'm just going to show this in trigonometry just because if this was not 45 or 60 or 30, then we need to use that. So we have this right triangle. We know this is 9 because that is, this QR is 9 and they're equal. So PS is 9. So you have this here. And since it's 45, actually this is also height, but we're not going to worry about that. So we have H, which is side opposite of 45, and 9, which is hypotenuse. And remember, with SOHCAHTOA, opposite and hypotenuse goes with sine. So sine of my angle, 45, equals h over 9. Multiply both sides by 9. .4. So my height equals 6.4. So my area would be 12 times 6.4. 76.4 units squared. We want to put that on there if it doesn't have a length measurement, just because we want to show that that's area and not perimeter. So area of a triangle, then if I could just take and have the same exact triangle right here. So we see that would make a parallelogram. So two triangles that are equal. So area of triangle is just half the area of a parallelogram. So we're going to use this. We need to buy enough boards to make the frame of a triangular sandbox shown and enough sand to fill it. If one board is 3 feet long and one bag of sand fills 9 square feet, how many boards and bags do you need? So let's find our boards first. We'll have to use our perimeter. Perimeter equals 16 plus 12 plus 7.5. .5, and we're going to divide that by 3 because each board is 3 feet long. I'm going to get 11.8, so we need 12 boards. Now our area is 1/2 base. Remember, base can only be a side length, so 12, because that's what this is perpendicular, is to this side if it was extended, times 9. 54. We're going to divide that. So this is 54 feet squared. So we're going to divide that by 9 because each bag fills 9 square feet. So this would be 6 feet squared. So same problem here. Let's look at a little bit with algebra. This is going to pull in some factoring, so it might do this a little bit different than what you did in algebra, but let's try to pull back on that. You could use quadratic. There's a few things. So we have the height of the triangle is 7 more than the base. So the height equals whatever the base is plus 7. The base just equals your base. And my area of the triangle is 60. So they took 1/2 base times height, and they got 60. So let's multiply by 2 to get rid of that. So base times base plus 7 equals 120. So we're going to distribute our b. So b squared plus 7b equals 120. And then we're going to see, we see this is quadratic. So if I bring this 120 over, I can treat it like I would solve a quadratic equation. So quadratic formula, completing the square. We're going to use factoring. So I know you probably did this a few different ways, but we're looking at what multiplies to be negative 120 and adds to be 7. So since it's negative, we know one's negative, one's positive. And so we could try like 30 and 4. But we see that that doesn't add to be negative 7. So it has to fit both criteria. So if we look at 15 and negative 8, if I add those, I get positive 7. I multiply those, I get 120. So we're going to have 8 and 15. And then you probably group factored by grouping, and we'll look at that more in Algebra 2, but we're going to go ahead and just write these as our factors. So b minus 8, b plus 15. So I can set those both equal to b. So what would make this, or to 0? So this would be b either equals 8 or negative 15, but we know it can't equal a negative. So our base equals 8 inches. So our height is 7 more, which is 15 inches. And notice that's these two numbers. So you could kind of go from there also if you know that. All right, if you have questions, let me know. Thank